Okay, this is number 9. This is number 9. A very, very hard one to explain. It's a long one. I think we are going to split it up today and tomorrow, because just so we can really grasp the meaning of what's going on. This is number 9. And number 9 is as follows. V'sashlich b'metzulois yom kol chatoisom. The Rabbeinu Shalom cast all their sins into the depths of the sea. What does that mean? Zukt the Devorah. Zu Middah toiva la'Kadosh Baruch Hu. This is a gewaldige Middah. I'll tell it to you in a nutshell. Maybe that's a good idea. We'll do it in a nutshell of what's going on, and then we'll go into the depths of what the Devorah says. It's an amazing Middah. The Rabbeinu Shalom punishes those that punish Klal Yisrael. That's what it means. Okay? That's what it means. It's not the translation of B'mitzulos Yom Kol Chatoisom, he cast all their sins into the depths of the sea, but we'll see where that name comes from, why that's the Middah of Hashem. But in a nutshell, that's pretty much what's going on, is that the Rabbeinu Shalom punishes those that punish us. And that's an important thing. So listen to what he says. Zu Middah toiva la'Kadosh Baruch Hu. This is an incredible Middah that the Rabbeinu Shalom punishes the enemies of Klal Yisrael. Shaharei Yisrael Chatu. Sometimes the Rabbeinu Shalom punishes Klal Yisrael because at the end of the day, we do Averis. Right? For example, at the time of Yetzias Mitzrayim, right before, Klal Yisrael were mixing with the Goyim. They were mixing with the Goyim, they were becoming involved in Goyish Zachen. Right? It's a terrible thing. And by the way, if you look through the history of the world, you'll always see that once Yidden start intermarrying and intermingling and mixing with the Goyim, tragedy normally strikes. Okay? I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it. Right before October 7th, what happened? What happened was that many of the people who lived right on the border of Gaza, in Israel, in the border of Gaza, were very into, let's have one nation, let's live together with the Arabs. They used to invite the Arabs in, which is why, by the way, many of the Arabs knew the map of their homes and the Yeshuvim, is because they said, let's live together, we'll all be one. And unfortunately, many of them were very against Torah, very against Klal Yisrael, very against anything that has a shaykhus to Torah, and they were very into like what? And look what happened. And look what happened. And you know what? Many of them realized, many of them didn't, but many of them realized that maybe this was not such a good idea. And that's what happened right before Yetzias Mitzrayim, meaning right before Klal Yisrael were busy with Mitzrayim, they were busy intermingling. So Klal Yisrael, that's what he's referring to, by the way, over here. Yisrael Chatu, Klal Yisrael did Averis, Mesoram Biad Paroi. So Hashem said, okay, you're doing Averis, you're busy with the Goyim, you're intermingling and mixing with the Goyim, I'm going to hand you over to the hand of Pharaoh, which is what happened. V'shavu b'tshuva, Lami Yanish Paroi. But then Klal Yisrael did tshuva, and Klal Yisrael returned back to Hashem. So why did Paro get punished? Why was it that Paro got punished? Because he enslaved Klal Yisrael. We did something wrong. So Paro was the messenger to fulfill the punishment of Hashem on Klal Yisrael. So why did the Paro get punished? Not only that, it continues. V'chein Sancheriv, v'chein Haman. Haman as well. Let's take it a similar. This story everybody knows, right? Sancheriv not, but Haman everyone knows, right? Klal Yisrael were doing terrible averis. One of the main averis the Gemara tells us in Megillah is they partook from the Suda of Achashverosh. That was a terrible thing. They were busy using the kingdom of the Beis HaMikdash. All that, this we all know. So what happened? Hashem said, okay, you need a punishment. Send in Haman. But one second. Once Klal Yisrael do tshuva, why can't Hashem say, pick up Haman, goodbye? Why did Haman have to get punished? For what purpose? V'doimehem. And for anyone else that's Mitzvah Klal Yisrael. We could even say nowadays, right? Why can't we say the same thing about Hamas, Hezbollah? All these people, they're being punished tremendously. They're being pounded over there in Lebanon. Why? Because they're messing with Klal Yisrael. But again, we obviously deserve something. We obviously needed to be punished because we did something wrong. So why are they getting punished for what they did to us as the messenger of Hashem? Okay? In HaKadosh Baruch Hu misnachem bilvad. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't comfort himself. Loiman says, Shuva b'tshuva la'yir lehem oid ra. Listen, just do tshuva, and therefore that's it. No more bad from anyone else. Im kain, he started coming ma'aleim. If that's the case, just pick up Haman and remove him. Ay paroi, ay sancheriv, and leave them alone. What are you punishing them for? Lo yaspik. Ze lo yaspik. No, not good enough. It's not good enough for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to remove the enemies and those that hate and sour Klal Yisrael. Ela Yoshuv Amal Haman Al Roshai. The wickedness of Parai, the wickedness of Haman, is basically going to come back to bite him. It's going to turn back onto his head. Al Roshai, as it says over here. That means even if tshuva was done by Klal Yisrael, there has to be some kind of payment for those people in order to wipe out the sins off the book. We want to wipe out the sins of Klal Yisrael. How do we do that? Punishment. V'chein para v'chein sacherev as well. They were punishment for the bad that they did for the gzeira of Klal Yisrael. In other words, like this. And again, this one is a difficult one to explain, so bear with me. Instead of causing Klal Yisrael to pay for their sins, HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes their persecutors, those people that mitzvah Klal Yisrael, accountable for the payment that they suffer for the sins of Klal Yisrael, which is an interesting way. It's an interesting kindness of Hashem that HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ki'ilu takes out the punishment on us, but on them. Instead of giving it to us, He gives it to them. Okay? Vahatam. It's a long one, guys, so we're going to split it up. Vahatam, and even we're not even like nowhere near halfway. Vahatam la nagazu. What's the reason that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does this to Klal Yisrael? Who beside, it's a secret, which of course means it's deep Kabbalistic reasons that we don't really understand, but we can try to surface understand something. V'nosa hasora lov eskola v'nosam and Eretz Gezerah. Now we're all familiar with the idea of Yom Kippur. There were two goats. One of them got thrown off, right? One said Azazel, it got thrown off the cliff, and then the little red thing that was tied in the horn went white, and Klal Yisrael, the Maisa, means that they got a purification. What is pshat in that? Like, what is the pshat that we're doing this to the goat? Beautiful explanation. Upeirushu, right? He's now going to explain that the goat is taking all of the averas of Klal Yisrael. Shahasoyer noisa avoinos mamish. The soyer, the goat that sent La'azazel, carries literally all of the averas of Klal Yisrael. Basically what's happening is, this goat is being punished because of all the averas that it, quote unquote, did, meaning we did, but got transferred over to the goat. It's very hard for one goat to take all of the averas of Klal Yisrael. It reminds me, it's not the same, but it reminds me, a few years ago, I normally take the boys every year to Kapporis. Right, we get chickens, it's a matzav. So a few years ago, there was a smaller group of yeshiva than it is now. And I took the boys down the road. We went to a place, and some of the boys were scared to hold the chicken. So no problem. So I'll hold the chicken. And a whole bunch of boys, I guess they were too cheap to buy their own. So a whole bunch of boys bent down. And I took the chicken, and I did the kapporos for them. They said the paragraph, I did it, great. And then the chicken died in the middle of the kapporos. Ma'aseh Shohaya. It died in the middle. It went like all limp. I said to the guy, like, is this okay? He's like, no, it died. So I guess there were too many averas that it just couldn't cope. So I had to die in the middle of the kapporos. Anyway, Rabbi say, Ma'aseh Shohaya. So Al Kaponim, this goat is taking all the averas of Klal Yisrael. It's very hard. What? Klal Yisrael should do averas. Is it right thing that this animal should now carry the averas? That is the explanation. Ha'odam misvada. When a person does vida, he confesses on his averas. The kavanasoi bevida. What's his kavana? What's he doing lemaisa with his averas? Is that he wants really all his stuff to be clean. He wants to cleanse himself. Like David HaMelech said it to Hilim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I want to mechabes, right? Lashon of kibus, wash, cleanse myself when I do vidoi. And therefore, Rabbi Shalom, I'm doing vidoi, so I cleanse myself from the averas. We also say in vidoi, you're probably familiar, we say this in the end of Shmoneh Esrei Rosh Hashanah, Marek b'rachamecha rabim. Some people have to give some mochak, whatever it is. Marek b'rachamecha rabim. Rabbi Yisrael, I didn't have avera, I want to wipe it out, wipe it clean, right? Amazing thing. Now, sometimes we have to have Yisurim come upon us, but we want to make sure that they're of the lightest form that are not going to get in the way of Torah. This is what the tefillah means. Remember that from Shmoneh Esrei? That, Kosh Baruch Hu clean us up, but not through Yisurim Roim. That's what it means. Mamishu, Makabel Yisurim b'seiva parim yafos le'eskape. That if Yisurim come on me, I know that they are a kapara. I know that they're there for my cleansingness. They're there for a reason specifically, and I'm going to makabel them. I'm going to accept them. Because there are certain averas that tshuva alone doesn't help you. There needs to be yisurim. Yisurim is some kind of hardship. The Gemara Chagiga says Yisurim doesn't necessarily mean some terrible illness. We should never know. But it can also mean that a person goes to his pocket to get a 1 shekel. Oh, 2 shekel. Okay, look again. That's Yisurim. That's a very light version of Yisurim, and we daven to get those types of Yisurim and nothing else. But sometimes we need some kind of purification process, which is Yisurim. That when a person, right, this is how it should be, that when a person does an Avera and he does a vidoy in his tefillah, and his mekabel Yisurim, right? We're ready for the learn the Zoya. The Zoya says in Parashat Bekudai, Shu Chelek Sam'al. Now, Sam'al, the Zoya says, is a malach. It's an angel that's called Sam'al, and he's basically the same function as the goat of Azazel, meaning it takes our Averas away. Ke'ena Soy, it says, it's just like the Soy. Or Ma'chelkoi, what is this chelik? What is this portion of this Sam'el malach that's made to take away Averas? Shakadosh Baruch Hu goiza alav, right? The Rabban Shem goes on the one that did the Avera, that he does vido and makabel on himself, Yisurim, in order to cleanse himself from the Averas he did. Or miyad nisdam and shom Samuel. All of a sudden, this angel, someone comes running over to him, and says, no problem. I'll give you the Yisurim, I'll take your Averas. Great deal. And then he will take, just like the Sar Mishtalech, he will take the Averas. The Rebbe gives him the permission to accept the Chayva. That's his chiyus. His chiyus is to bring Yisurim on a person, but in place of that, takes the Avera. The Yisurim mistarim, and Klal Yisrael become tohor with the Yisurim that they get, because they give over the Avera to this Malach. V'hine akol yisgalgal al samol. Everything comes on him, since at the end of the day, as a payment for giving you the Yisurim, he takes that Avera in that case. So, I think this is a good place to stop over here. Or maybe we'll just do one tiny bit more. Vahatam, okay? The reason that, this is what happens now. What he's about to explain is, this Malach Samal, Rabbi Say, I just want to remind you, we're dealing with very high Kabbalistic ideas over here. We're not fully understanding it, but we're trying to gain something from it. But it's a choshev zach to learn Devorah to Elul, even if we don't understand it, but I'm sure we do understand it at some level. But anyway, Vahatam, what is the reason that this Malach eventually becomes nullified? He becomes bottle. What's the reason? Shakadosh Baruch Hu goyz al olam shekomi shiyasakein yisbatel. The Rabbeinu Shalom was goyz a special thing, that anyone that does or gets involved in bad becomes bottle, becomes nullified from the world. V'zehatam, this is the reason. What happens if a person does a disgusting Avera, right? In Yonei Arayas, I'm sure you understand, with an animal. Disgusting thing. Most human beings can't even understand such a thing, how a human being can stoop so low to do such a disgusting animal, act and basically sleep with an animal. What do we do to that animal? We have to kill the animal, because we cannot have an animal in the world that is involved or was involved with something bad. What do we do with the stone after we did skila to someone and we killed him, who was rightfully killed? He was chayiv skila, he did something wrong, he was chayiv mises base, then he has to be killed. We take the stone and we bury it. The sayef shel mitzvahs hanarogin. What do we do with the sword that we had to kill someone who was chayiv, who was chayiv sayef by beis din to unin kivura? They all have to be buried. Once the nigma din happened, we had to get rid of them. True, the stone had to be used for skila. It was a mitzvah, 100%. And the sword had to kill someone. But it's bad. Bad shouldn't exist in the world. Mimela, that's why this malach eventually becomes nullified, becomes bottle. Now, we're in the middle of a sugya. I apologize for stopping. We're trying to figure out what on earth this Middah is. Why is it practical to us? And what exactly is the chesed that Hashem does? And how does it answer our original question of why the Rebbe Shem punishes Parah and Haman when he could just mavatal them from the world? In Mitzvah Hashem, join us tomorrow where we'll continue.